And welcome back to Taper John. Alright, what I'm going to do here, sorry, I'm still looking over here because this is where my studio is. I know my camera's there. Um, this, I created this and I put this on my other channel. It's what I call 3 types of Android. And I'm here to kind of like further explain that, and I figure it should also be shared over here as well. I kind of believe it works over on this channel as well. Instead of just uploading the same video twice, I figured I'd share it in a stream. And if anybody joins in here, I can answer your questions if you like. Let's go ahead and play it real quick. And welcome back to Taper John and Tie-Dye Android. This is a dual project again today. We've had a couple of them in the last couple of weeks. This one is going to be the different versions of Android. This is for you, actually for one person in particular who's asking me about audio quality in Android. So I'll bring that out right now. First off, kind of want to explain there's different versions of Android, obviously. You pretty much have your Google Android, which in my opinion is the purest form of Android. And you'll understand what I mean by purist when I go along with the story here. So the purest Android is pretty much just basic Android. Your basic stuff, and you take that and you go on to Google Play and you download all the apps that you need. That's the purest form of Android. So straight up basic, and that's it. Pretty much Android is Google, so everything's going to be Google, of course. Then you got Samsung Android. Samsung Android is pretty much the same, but then Samsung takes their One UI touch, One UI user interface launcher, and they throw their glitches into it. That's pretty much Samsung Android. That's what I call Samsung Android. It's not so much with the other providers like LG, Nokia, and the other brands. They pretty much stay with Android themselves. They throw one or two little glitches of their software in it, but it's still pretty much close to pure Android. Almost. So that's why they don't even count that in the picture, actually. So far we've got Google Android, which is the purest form of Android. Then you got Samsung Android. And then that's what I say, you throw your provider stuff in there, and Samsung throws their extra features in there. So now you're running on pure Android, and then then you got Samsung Android with their special features running over on top of that. That's why I say you got Android, you got Samsung Android, and then we have that one apple with a bite taken out of it, that was taken out by the Android. And that is pretty much their own. So we'll say Apple Android. So those are the three kinds. And I don't do the latter. Um, Otherwise, life would be so much simpler if I did the latter. Um, Whereas I wouldn't have had half of all these experiments I've had to do for like the last 2 or 3 years. But I like this. I like this because I'm learning, I'm an innovator, and sharing with you guys now. But it can be done. This stuff with Android can be done that you can't do that you can do on Apple Android that you can't do on normal Android. So with that said, now I can go backtrack a little bit. One person asked me or suggested or made a comment one time that he wants to go Apple because he can't deal with and his power is turning down and this, that, and everything, and he wants to get rid of his Pixel. Well, you are right to a degree. Like I said, Google Pixels is pretty much a normal smartphone. Pure Google. They're not throwing anything extra in there. So they don't need a fancy chipset. They don't need plenty of RAM. They don't need huge internal storage. So when they design the Pixels, they don't think of that in mind. Okay, so now we go to Samsung Android. Okay, you got the apps in there. Now they like LG for example. They specialize in the camera. The last 3 years they've been specializing in high DAC audio. Great. LG is probably one of the better ones up there when it comes to us tapers and audiophiles. LG is probably one of the best. It's become normal. They haven't. Samsung this year, I can't speak for the S10 and all that, but the Note 10, they actually stepped up the game a little bit, but they gave you, instead of putting inside the phone, they put it in the little OTG adapter, the on-the-go adapter. They put it in there. I don't know why. 95% of the people ain't going to take that out of the box. So I don't know why they did that. And the reason why I know that from my own test is because I did it with my standard OTG cable and nothing worked. But when I put that dongle in, sorry, it's still in my gear bag. But when they put that in there and I tried that, bam, I had my digital audio all back going into my phone, into the Note 10 Plus. So Samsung actually stepped up the game last fall. So I give them my hats off on that. Now the Apple Android, the Apple iPhones, that's all built in. And that's why I never discuss that because it's all easy. You can just pretty much plug and play and go. So there's no need to really talk about that. But we're talking basic Android, and that's where we're getting an issue. Some of the apps that we use will not work with my external driver app to give me my digital audio. But on the Note 10 Plus, so far I have not seen that glitch. So the newer Samsungs are actually compatible now, in our opinions, as tapers. Samsung actually stepped up the game this year, or should I say last fall. I just got mine last month, so that's how I know that part. Sorry for being a little late. But those are the three versions of Android, in my opinion. And like I said, LG and it's probably the best one out there. Samsung, like I said, just stepped up the game this last fall. And that's why I don't really care for going with Google on the Pixel. But on the other sense, if you're not a taper, I actually like the Pixels, the Google Pixels, the pure Android, because of the operating system. You would be able to get to play with the operating system like you're up to date. You're pretty much up to date on the operating system. So you kind of know how they feel. As if you're pure Android. I like that just so I know how to play. And actually, it takes me about 2 weeks to set everything up in my Samsung Android to get it the way I want. So it's been, I have to take a lot of that stuff off. I have to convert it over to pure Android, or at least make it the phone act like it's pure Android, and I try to get rid of some of that Samsung stuff off, or at least the stuff that I can't remove. I either force it to close, or I put it off in the background so I can't see it. So it takes me about a week just to prep my phones for what I use and what I want and the way I like it to appear. So, that's it. I hope you understand what I was talking about now, and the one person that this is actually dedicated for hopefully will have a little bit of knowledge. And if not, leave a question and I will definitely get back to you and reply on that. Those are 3 versions of Android, technically, and how and why which one is probably better for audiophiles, the people who actually listen and are quite detailed into their music. That's my take on that. You may differ, but pretty much boils down to those 3 types. So, and that's what I'm saying. There's Android, Samsung Android, and there's the iPhone. That's it. The other brands fall in between Google and Samsung Android, and they got their little special additives. That's why I always say there's 3 types of Android. Pure, modified, and the Apple way. You notice I'm not smiling on that one. So, that's pretty much it on that one. If you have any other questions, leave the comments below. I'll definitely get back to you. If you give me a reason to make another video, that's fine. So, I hope this was somewhat informative for you. And if you want more details on the audio aspects of it, let me know what I left out. I'm sure I left out a lot. There's some things I think everybody knows that I assume everybody knows, but a lot of people don't. So, alright. Catch you guys later. As always, more to come. Alright, I hope you guys caught a glimpse of that. Here I am. Okay, so then, based on that, the one thing I do want to say, because he was worrying about power issues and stuff like that, what I do, and this was like old school, taught to me with lithium batteries, probably about 10 years ago. But actually more so when I was working in a call center and I was dealing with Android for a provider. Can't divulge names. Won't divulge names either. A lot of things I learned on that aspect of things. Android power issues. When you get your phone for the first time, and this probably goes with Apple as well, it's all lithium batteries. They all work the same. There is no memory chip actually inputted, but yet it acts like there is. Because something has to tell the battery, hey, I'm full. I'm not taking no more. You got to keep that part in mind. It's not like a lead acid battery where it just goes and it starts draining and giving you a slow charge until it's done. It's lithium battery just says, hey, I'm done, and it shuts off. But there's no memory chip. There's got to be something in there that tells the battery, hey, I'm dead, I'm full. Okay, the reason why I'm laughing at that is because this is the method that was taught to me. And I'm sorry, I hear so many people complaining about this, that I've been doing it now for going on 4 or 5 years, easy. And I never had this problem ever since. So it ain't like I never properly tested it. I mean, I've been doing it this way, and it never let me down. Never. Step 1, when you get your phone out of your box, you run it, play with it, set it up, do whatever you got to do. Let that battery run dead. Drain it until it totally stops and dies on you. Charge it. Put it on the charger. I would recommend the one that came with the device. I would recommend that. Run it until it is completely full. The phone tells you when it's full. Leave it on there for an extra 5 minutes, maybe, just to be on the safe side. No big deal on that. But make sure it's 100% full. Unplug it. Use your phone. Don't let that charger, don't charge it up before you go to bed, anything. Just let it run dead. Stay close to a charger if it runs dead. But don't charge it until it dies. Charge it until it's full. Don't take it off if somebody calls you. Leave it on the charger until it's full. Do that twice. I swear to God, your battery will last. It knows when it's full. It knows when it's empty. The battery will last throughout. And then after that, you can plug it in. If you still got a 50% charge, I'm going to be able to throw it on a charger. That's fine. It doesn't matter then. But it's the first 2 times that are critical. It's critical the first 2 times. It lets the battery know. The battery knows this is the full spot. Because if you do it, what everybody does, oh shit, I got a phone call. Unplug it, talk to it, and it's only got a 50% charge, and the phone is new. That phone, the battery, somehow with no chip, thinks, hey, I must be full. So now when you charge it, it thinks that point is the full mark. So that's why I always say, and then all of a sudden you're only actually, from that point on, that battery is pretty much shot. It's going to go downhill from you at that point. Sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes it takes 6 months. Sometimes it takes a few months. Depends on how you did it your first couple times. But that's why your batteries are always dying so quickly. Just do the 100% charge, drain it, charge it to its 100% again. Do it once, twice. I suggest twice. Better safe than sorry. There's times where I do it 3 times. You'll be surprised. The battery will last longer than your next upgrade. I swear to God. I didn't believe it at first because, like you said, there's no chip in it. Is there? Then what's telling the battery? The battery's got to be thinking something here. And you know that lithium batteries, they don't go by, when you buy them, you always read the fine print when you buy your lithium batteries, your power banks, whatever. Because you can only charge them up so many times. They're only good for so many uses. Like most of my batteries that I use for my audio gear, that's pretty much maybe 300-400 times. After that, the battery's going to be shot. You gotta expect that. I mean, it's not a lead acid battery where it could last you 10 years. It depends on how many times you connect it to the charger and how many times you plug the battery in to charge it and get it full. Those are the tricks. So if you keep that in mind about the batteries, you're good. The rest on this video. Yeah, I was talking about the external app on the last video that I streamed here. I don't need a third-party app like I used to. I needed it when we still had the headphone jack and YouTube messed it up and said I needed 1,000 subscribers. And then the app that I'm using, Streamlabs, was not accepting the third-party app. They weren't compatible. So I had to go analog for the last few months. Maybe 6-8 months, something like that. I was going analog. And now I'm back to digital. So that's good. So that aspect changed. I no longer need the third-party app like I used to. I'm going right straight into the phone and getting digital audio. Once again, I don't need Extreme USB drivers apps, and I don't need 1,000 subscribers from YouTube. So we're good. I'm happy with that. Once I can go out and live record again and stream. So since Joe and whoever else didn't show up like I thought they might, but then again, we're also going to be doing this tomorrow. That's probably why nobody's showing up. And I'm not sure. I'm kind of taking a break, and I'm doing a lot of studio studio project today. Like I said, I just showed you the tie-dye Android video I just uploaded. And now I'm talking a little bit here. But also tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time, I believe. So it would be 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, if I'm not mistaken. So around that time frame, probably expect some music and until everybody gets here, and I'll probably be talking for a bit as well. But we're going to try a taper discussion tomorrow. No, tomorrow's Sunday. I take that back. If we try something like that, that's probably going to be put on hold. I'm actually doing an all-day festival tomorrow. I'll be starting at about 10:30 in the morning and probably going through all the way up until midnight. It's probably going to be one solid stream unless I get interrupted or something. If somebody says no, and then I got to stop and I'll reconnect. But after everything's all said and done, I will link all the videos together. So I'm just going to wing that by ear and see how it goes. But expect some virtual taping, festival taping tomorrow. And other than that, that should be about it. Replay the video. You'll know what I'll be talking about in the beginning. 3 types of Android. Why I choose that for audio. Oh, yeah. Well, I pretty much said that. Oh, yeah. The one thing I would bring up is why I like the Pixel. I really didn't bring it up in the last video for the type of Android, because a lot of them actually probably already know this stuff. But the reason why I do like Google Pixel for the operating system updates, because by the time you get your phone from an upgrade, it's already a year old. The operating system's already a year old. You got to remember, Google announces, which this year they're, because of this pandemic, they actually took their I/O ins and outs conference and put it on hold. Because normally they do it at the Shoreline Amp, where the Grateful Dead used to play. And they put on a couple-day Android Geekster festival, which I really want to go to one of these years. But they're postponing that. But they put that out in May. So the new Android operating system comes out in May. And then you're going to take, the manufacturer takes the new operating system and say like Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, those guys, they will all take and put their bloatware on it. They will take that operating system and put their brand name stuff and make it all work with their special features and stuff like that. So now you're talking another 4 or 5, maybe 6 months. So now you get the phone about 6 months to a year before the new operating system comes out again. So by the time you get your new phone, you're already at least 6 months behind on the new operating system. The Google Pixel, you can have one from 2-3 years ago. And when the new upgrade comes and the new operating system comes, they push it to the new phones. And you can actually pick and choose if you want to upgrade it or stay with the original. And most people, and the people that do actually pick the new ones, are actually beta testers. They're pushing it to people and say, here, try it, let's work out the bugs. And then they do that for a while, and then by that time the manufacturers of the brand name phones already have that all figured out, and then code it for their needs, and then make out their phones. So Google is pretty much 95% up to date. You can't do that with the other phones unless you root them. But then when you root them, you're still using the original operating system. Unless you have one that is operating that way. You would have to have a new bootleg third-party operating system that mimics the original. So you have to get a different underground copy of that operating system. That you can do, but not recommended, because then if you have to take the phone in, you ruin the warranty. So if you don't know what you're doing, then don't worry about it. Don't do it. So that's the reason why I do what I do. I am an audio recorder, but I'm also an Android geekster as well. And trust me, I have my old phones that, uh, well, there's one that I keep in particular, and that's for my old Microsoft Security Plus courses and keeps my mind fresh. And I converted it to Android, but we won't go there. I think some of you people can read between the lines or just simply blow this comment out of the water. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. So I did Android audio devices. Yes, and as in the prior video, the audio devices that I definitely recommend for like audio recording, digital, analog, you're probably your best one out there. Even if you just use the built-in microphone, LG would be the best because it can control the microphone. It points. So at least the microphone inside the phone of LG is somewhat directional. It's not omni, so you're not picking up everything. The Note 10 Plus is starting to catch up to the game, but it's still 2-3 years on behind. But LG is probably the best for audio devices. Cameras, I don't even discuss that because they're all competing to outdo the other, but yet at the same time they're almost the same. So I don't even go there. But for audio, LG, I went with them. I'm just, well, if you know me, you know I'm a taper. And then you know that I'm an Android geekster. I'm also a Microsoft person. I also hang out in my black and white hat groups. So, well, you know, anonymous. So, with that all said, I'm pretty much all over the board. So my Note 10 Pluses, or my Samsung Notes are wonderful to me because I'm doing 4 different things on one device. So that comes in handy for me, and that's why I always stick with the Note 10 Plus. I always need the heavier. I am pretty much a multitasking power user. Depending on which device, I can be a power user or I can be a super user. So that's why I choose Samsung, because I need the power. I like the RAM, I like the power, I like storage. Snapdragon chipset. I mean, I'd rather have the Snapdragon versus the Exynos chipset. It seems, but then that's also like Intel versus AMD, But I prefer Snapdragon by Qualcomm because it's also neutral based. In my eyes, I think it's neutral because Snapdragon is pretty much almost every Android. Exynos is good, but It has some extra features on there that will block a person like me in some situations. So that's why I don't like Xanos. Snapdragon by Qualcomm is much better for interactiveness with third-party apps. So, yeah, feels kind of weird not listening to music and playing music, but isn't that kind of weird? Nice to hear me just like talk some sense for a change. So, anyways, you guys have a great night. I'm gonna call it an evening. I'm probably just gonna sit back and enjoy. Like I said, tomorrow's gonna be a busy day for me. So, um, enjoy. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay well. Stay healthy. Stay indoors. Don't forget to wash your hands. Be good. More to come. Catch you on the flip side.